So you want to know how to overcome addiction, and that's going to be a great question. And I'm going to have an exact answer for you. I'm going to have some key components here in order to actually help you out, but that's going to be a little bit later on towards the end of the video. The first thing I want to do is go over some items that you may need to know, some things that most people forget about, some things that probably aren't going to be seen in other videos. But these things that you need to know about are going to be basically your thought process, awareness. Once you start realizing why we do some of the things that we do, that's why we are addicted to some of the things that we are addicted to. All right. Next, we're going to be talking about triggers. And trigger is going to be one of the biggest important factors of trying to get over your addiction. And if you don't know what your trigger is, then I'm going to help you out with that. But first, I want to go ahead and let you know, you may be asking, hey, Dave, what is a trigger? Well, a trigger is something very simple. It are sometimes places, people, things, emotional feelings that we have that'll actually cause us to go out and use that addiction of ours, whether it be alcohol, drugs, social media, whatever the case may be. There are three fundamental triggers, though. One is environmental, and that has to do with people, places, things. So if you're sitting there going to the same place, seeing the same people every single day, guess what? Chances of you going and doing your addiction are going to increase dramatically. Now, the second one is going to be behavioral. All right, we're talking about routines, habits. What's your daily routine? What's your daily habit? Because those routines and habits will form on a daily basis. I know when I was in my addiction that I went ahead and drank every single day. I'd wake up at 6 a.m. wanting to go to the convenience store in order to get my alcoholic beverage. So you want to be very cautious of those. Then next is going to be your emotional trigger. What are your emotional triggers? This could be a wide variety of things such as fear, anxiety, stress, depression. That is a big one. So anytime that you feel any of those things, even boredom, I'm feeling bored, I'm going to go out and get a drink, or I'm going to go smoke my bowl, or whatever the case may be. You want to be very aware of those three fundamental triggers, because if you're not, then you're going to keep using. So you may be asking yourself, well, how do I know that I can go ahead and listen to you, or how do I know I can trust you? Well, a little bit about me. I was an addict for 26 years. All right. I was homeless for 4 of those years, living in my car on a daily basis. So I still considered homeless. And I'll tell you what, here in Arizona, 110 degrees, 90 degree heat, it's going to be a hard time sleeping. But all I cared about was that I had my vodka, my alcohol. That is truly all I cared about. That and my weed, unfortunately, as well, too. But I've been an addict for 26 years, and I have done pretty much everything under the sun. And I can speak from experience, and I know how hard it is to get over an addiction. I actually tried getting over mine quite some time ago when COVID hit. I think I lasted about a week and a half. Now I have actually 1 year and 4 months sobriety, coming up 5 months here. And I speak from a wide variety of resources because I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people who have addictions. And those addictions range from drugs and alcohol all the way down to something along the lines of social media or streaming services. All right, now we've gone over what kind of triggers there are. So the next key factor is, what am I addicted to? And I'm just going to tell you right now, whether you know it or not, you are addicted to something. Everybody is in this world. Sometimes it could be on one extreme to the other, good or bad, right? We could have working out, reading books, meditation, whatever the case may be. Now, again, those addictions are going to be so much better than anything else that you can be addicted to when it comes to along the lines of, let's say, drugs, alcohol, social media. That's a huge one, as well as streaming services. They're doing new research right now that basically says that if you're addicted to social media, you're actually starting to get dopamine hits in your brain, and you are starting to crave those dopamine hits. And that's going to be a topic for another discussion when it comes to dopamine, but you have to be very cautious and aware of that. Other addictions, pornography, masturbation. I mean, there's such a wide variety of addictions that, I could just keep going on and on, but I think you get the point. So everybody's addicted to something. And now let's start getting you to the point where you can get over those addictions. All right. So you're asking yourself, Dave, what are you going to tell me that I probably haven't heard before? And you know what? Everything is different for everyone. We're all individuals. So some things work for one person, they may not work for the other. So the key factor here that I want to get through to you is, a lot of the times the addictions that we have may be due from our past childhood trauma. There's huge numbers and statistics on this. A lot of us have been through a lot of shit in our lives when it comes to our childhood trauma. And that's one factor I want you to remember, because of the fact that if we can start getting over our past, we can start moving forward with our future. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to solve this problem of addiction. And this is going to be a little bit of a challenging question. And the reason for that is it's different for everyone. There are certain things that work for one person and some things for another person, and they may not work for each individual. So keep that in mind. What I want you to do first is know that seeking help is going to be one of the biggest things, such as psychological counseling, something along those lines. Now, is that going to solve your addiction? No, not at all. All right, but what it's going to do is help you deal with the trauma in your past. And once you start dealing with that past, that's going to be one of the key factors in moving forward and moving away from your addiction. But if you can't deal with your past, and again, this could be something on the subconscious level. I have friends, family that, you know what, they don't remember things from 7 years old and beyond. So you got to remember, sometimes there's a lot of traumatic things that happen in our lives that we bury deep down inside of us. And if we're not able to dig those up and get those out, and that's exactly why I say counseling or a psychologist, something along those lines in order to help you. Will it solve that problem again? No, not by any means. But moving forward from there, seeking help, that is a really good idea. So when I say that, psychologist, counseling, that kind of stuff is going to be great. But I'm also talking about 12-step programs such as AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, NA, Narcotics Anonymous. The list goes on and on and on. There is even one for CODA, Codependency Anonymous, which again, that codependency could actually keep you in your addiction. I know lots of people who went through a recovery program and they sat there and got a girlfriend right afterwards. It was only a matter of moments before they actually relapsed and got back into their addiction of choice. So the 12-step programs, I really can't explain it to you. You actually have to go there and experience it. Going to meetings, those are going to be some key factors that is actually going to help you out tremendously. Having that support from a group of people that know exactly what you're going through, have been through it, and they've actually grown through it as well too. So keep that in mind when you're trying to overcome this addiction, because it may be a little bit harder than you think. Now, the last one, this is going to be the biggest one, is changing your habit. Remember, I told you one of those triggers is your behavioral routines, habits. So when you go home after work and you want to pick up that bottle, whatever the case may be, or that pipe or that bong, whatever it is, what I want you to keep in mind is instead of doing that, replace it with one of those good habits I was talking about before. And those good habits can be working out, meditating, reading books. I highly recommend working out because there's so much research that has been done now that basically says it actually changes our body chemistry and our also mental chemistry as well. So we can actually feel better from a workout than we ever would from drinking any kind of alcoholic beverage or smoking something in order to make us feel good. So keep that in mind. And what I want you to do is, if you did like this video, please hit that like button. I want you to subscribe once again. Give me some comments and tell me exactly what you'd like to hear from me next. But definitely try those key factors when I am telling you how to get over your addiction. And it may not take, but a couple hours for some people, and it may take a couple days or weeks for some others. But the more that you implement this, the more that you're aware of this, the more that you're going to get over your addiction. So the last piece of advice I want to give you before you go is this helping you grow, whatever addiction that is? And you already know the answer. If it's hindering you, if you're wishing you weren't doing it, then of course it's not for you and you need to go ahead and move away from that. But if it is helping you, such as working out, meditation, reading books, becoming a better person, that's the key thing. If it's helping you grow in order to become a better person, then keep doing it. But if it isn't, you already know the answer.